What's up guys, PC here, and today we're going to talk about the iPhone 13 Pro Max and see how that holds up in 2025. Now, in my opinion, it is still one of the better deals that you can get right now, and there's a lot to love about this phone. Even when comparing it to like the latest iPhone 16 Pro models, well, it's not perfect, but it still does a really good job in most areas. And that being said, there are some other phones that you might want to consider, especially from a price standpoint, and we'll cover those as well. Now, first up, let's talk about the design. Now, the iPhone 13 Pro Max came out in 2021, which might be a turnoff for a lot of people because this is 4 years old. But when you take a look at the phone, you have to remember that it was one of the best looking devices when it came out, and it still holds up really well. Now, you're getting a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display, 120Hz refresh rate, and 1200 nits of peak brightness. The bezels are fairly thin, and you still get a Face ID with a notch. Now, of course, the newer iPhone models have Dynamic Island, but a 4-year-old phone, the design still feels premium. Now, if we want to talk about the build quality, it's pretty great as well. Now, you get a stainless steel frame, a frosted back glass, and a triple camera setup with a LiDAR sensor. Now, MagSafe is still here, and you also get an IP68 water resistance rating. The one downside, though, is that it still uses the Lightning port instead of the USB-C, and it does feel like a step back if you're already in the Apple ecosystem. This might be a huge issue for you. Alright, now let's talk about some areas where the iPhone 13 Pro Max doesn't hold up as well as it should. Now, first, the brightness. While 1200 nits was great back then in 2021, the newer models have much higher brightness levels, making them easier to use in direct sunlight. Now, it would have been nice if this phone had 1500 or 1700 nits of brightness, but and also there's a notch. Some people prefer the dynamic island, so if you're used to that, going back to the notch might feel like a significant downgrade. But if we want to talk about some of the best parts of the iPhone 13 Pro Max, is that it's available under 400 pounds in many places, and I don't know the US pricing of it. So for 400 pounds, you're getting a lot of value. All right, now let's talk about some of the best things about this phone. So this phone can be bought for 400 pounds in the UK, and I think you can get it for like $400 in the US as well. So that is pretty amazing because for a $400 phone, it's insane. And the camera on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, it still holds up as well. You get a 12 megapixel ultra wide, the 12 megapixel wide, and 12 megapixel telephoto lens. Alright, now let's talk about one of the best parts about this phone, which is the price. The iPhone 13 Pro Max is now available under $400 or 400 pounds in many places, making it a real solid deal for what you're getting. This phone is still amazing to buy, and if you get it with a good enough battery condition, I think it's a solid deal. Moving on to the camera, the iPhone 13 Pro Max still holds up well. You got a 12 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel telephoto, and 12 megapixel ultra wide on the back, along with a 4K 60 FPS recording on both the front and the back cameras. And overall, the image quality is still really good. Now, if the camera's set up at this price range, I think it's a solid choice. Now, if we want to talk about the software, another thing to consider is the software support. The iPhone 13 Pro Max is still supported with the iOS updates and will likely continue to get updates for another 3 more years or so. That means you're getting the latest features, security updates, and improvements, making it a long-term investment. However, you do not get the Apple Intelligence features. If you want those, you have to upgrade it to the 15 Pro series or the 16 series, which is a huge bummer. I don't know why Apple can't just put them on all of the devices, but it is what it is. Alright, now let's talk about one of the most important factors in somebody deciding to buy an old phone. That is going to be the battery. Now, the iPhone 13 Pro Max has a 3095 milliamp hour battery, which is pretty decent, but if you're buying a used phone, keep in mind that the battery health may have degraded over time, and if the battery hasn't dropped below 85%, you might not get the best battery life. So you may need a replacement down the line. However, for a 4-year-old phone, it still performs well in this area. And performance-wise, the iPhone 13 Pro Max is powered by the A15 Bionic chip with 6 gigs of RAM. Whether you're using it for everyday tasks and gaming or productivity, it still runs smoothly, even compared to the newer iPhones. And the performance holds up really well, and it's more than capable of handling anything that you throw at it. And by the way, if I have to mention, the iPhone 14 series, not the 14 Pro series, also has the A15 Bionic. So yeah. So is the iPhone 13 Pro Max still worth buying in 2025? Well, absolutely. For under 400 pounds, you're getting a high-end display, great performance, solid cameras, and software support for years to come. So if you want a better option, you could consider the iPhone 14 Pro or the 15 Pro or even the 16 Pro if you want to bump the budget up a bit. But if you're looking for a solid deal, I think iPhone 13 Pro Max is still at the sweet spot. This pretty much wraps it up. So yeah, let me know what you think about it, and I'll be reading your comments, and peace.